Today, again, my name is Mark Buzan. I am the founder of the Society of Nonprofit Board Directors. I'm a father and a husband, former founder again of the Society of Nonprofit Board Directors and our Executive Director, Association Management and Consulting Services, two-time Executive Director and President, and I've been a Board Director. So I've been on both sides of things, all three sides of it, consultant, the board, and being on staff as well. And I want to present a message to you of hope. Hope that things are possible. Hope that things are great, things can occur. Revenues can grow out, you can achieve your mission, you can change the world. But often enough, the biggest challenge that they come across is defensiveness. It's amongst ourselves. Now, defensiveness is defined really as a way of preventing the pile of the bad coming on and feeling overwhelmed as a result, or feeling bad, that you're not doing enough. And I can get where a lot of this is coming from. People get into not-for-profit world because they want to do something good. Now, the four signs of this are a few. Now, before I go on a little bit further, if you want to hear a little bit more about this as to why this is important, heart this a little bit more. Tell me a little bit more what you're thinking as well. If you think this is, Facebook likes this far more if you heart this rather than you like it, okay? So there's four basic signs. One, dismissiveness. Are you dismissive? You say, well, this will never work in our organization because blah, 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 blah. This is unfortunately a dogmatic tendency I think some of us have. I've been accused of this, and I've been guilty of this too, as well, in organizations. Because we're so passionate about things, because we're so blinded sometimes by the passion we have and the commitment that we've had. We say, yes, but. I acknowledge what you're saying, but not really. I've been guilty of that. I admit that. You have perhaps a tendency at some point or another towards the penchant towards the micromanagement. And that can happen. It's bad for governance in an organization, but it can also hold back an organization from many ways and in its own advancement simply by the fact that it discourages innovation. Oh, I'll just take care of it. I know how to do this, like this. I've got the answer to this. Maybe your defensiveness and your lack of self-awareness might be holding you back. It also has a problem when you have this can also occur when you're delegating. Your example of not being able to delegate the nitty-gritty down, going down to the board of directors and not actually taking a recognition as a board, saying, you know what, do we have the time, capability, or bandwidth to be able to do things? We'll just figure a way to do it out ourselves because we have the commitment to that as well. It puts you in a situation of holding on to unrealistic expectations as well, and unreal expectations of others. You have a third possibility. Maybe you have endless rationalizations in your discussions as well, or explaining things. The flooding of information of points to prove why something may be this. Well, we did this, we did this, we did this, we did this. Hold on. Are you being defensive? Or lack of self-awareness really was. Or the fourth point there, perhaps you're unwilling at some point to accept that change needs to occur or to take a stand. Maybe you stand on board with this, but I like to say sometimes, a nonprofit board wimp who's not willing to take a stand as well and show the conviction, that same passion you have to saying, you know what, things need to change. It closes off discussions as well, and it creates, unfortunately, a false sense of superiority. Folks, lack of self-awareness or defensiveness comes from not willingness often to confront the status quo. If you ignore the problem, it'll somehow go away. I've learned personally as president of an organization where I had a staff member and I wasn't really completely convinced that she had all of this, all of the wherewithal, and that I had the answers. And finally, and I was frustrated. And finally, it took someone to take me aside and said, Mark, Your expectations of someone else are not reasonable. My standards shall never meet up with that. And the impact of that was that it was creating unnecessary conflict. I was the source of the problem. Yeah, I was the source of the problem. I admitted that. Put me on conflict. This and it really held us back from being able to move forward and find ways where we could use those person's talents and abilities. And things got better for me when I was more conscious of what was going on. I was self-awareness. I put my ego in check. Here's a story to give you an example, and how I was able to, for example, go to $525,000 in 2.5 years. I had worked in an organization where we had to raise a significant amount of new funds in an organization in sponsorships. And I thought that the way of doing things was just to pow out how wonderful brand our organization was going to get from an organization. I'm in a meeting, figure this out, with a major bank executive. And I'm telling him about brand awareness, brand awareness, brand awareness. And this gentleman puts me in check. And he says, Mark, are you telling me that your organization of 8 staff have more brand recognition than our multinational bank? That took some admittedness on my behalf to put my attitude in check and my passion in check and be able to say, you know what, I'm being defensive. I'm not being self-aware as well. It took as well the fact, I'm reminded of another story of a parable of a pastor. He's faced with a hurricane that's coming up. And the people said, get out of there, leave. And he said, no worry, God is going to come and save me. The rain starts coming in and people are leaving. And there's this, pastor, you got to get out of here. You got to get out. No, God's going to save me. Finally, the waters are coming up and he's got to go up onto the top of the roof. And they say, pastor, get in the boat. Save me. Save yourself. No, God's going to save me. The waters keep on going higher and higher. And finally, a helicopter comes. Pastor, get in. No, God's going to save me. Finally, he drowns. And then at the pearly gates, he meets up with St. Peter and he says to St. Peter, he said, what gives? I believed in you, and I believed in our cause, and like this. And St. Peter says, fool, I send you a boat and a helicopter. Help is waiting there, and sometimes the help doesn't always come about like we think it's going to be. So in our desires to avoid conflict often enough, we as well, in ourselves with others, actually are some of the biggest of this. I've witnessed, no word of a lie, in the last 2 years personally, no less than 7 not-for-profit associations go out of business, and it was unnecessary. Because I talked to them 2 years prior to this going on. I says, I got this going on. You want? No, we got this under check. The revenues went under, and all this. We had a great interview last week with Maya McNulty, and she said as well, wonderful stat, 9,000 charitable nonprofit organizations are expected to go under in the United States next year. 9,000. The truth of the matter, though, is that there is hope. Folks, I raised that $525,000 in 2 years out of nothing, frankly, when I admitted that I didn't have all the answers. I quickly put myself and asked myself, where am I blind? Where am I missing things? Maya was very successful as well by raising $100,000 in 12 weeks for an organization. And I know for a fact, I've had these many chats with her. She's invested in herself thousands of dollars as well, and experts, etc., to be able to give her that kind of knowledge and assimilate that stuff. So I'm going to ask you something inwardly. It's a tough question, but it comes from love as well. Are you defensive? Are you able to see the forest for the trees? I love you. I care for you dearly as well, and I want the best for all of you. Reach out to me. I believe in you. You have a great cause and you have a mission to be able to get it out there. And I make an appeal. This isn't the best way, frankly, to be making a living for oneself. It's this. You don't do this because of the money. This has to be a passion, so it has to be much more rewarding, and it's got to be much more rewarding to be able to, trust me, to be on the winning side than to be right. Love you. I hope you'll reach out to me in this, as I convey to you some of my own personal experience. Have a great day, and onward and upward.